For so long, I chased health in all the wrong ways. Harder workouts, stricter diets, more control, and it was all in the name of looking healthy rather than actually being healthy. But after dealing with years of fatigue and stress and fertility struggles, I've finally come to a place where everything has shifted in how I see health and how I take care of myself. I've realized that wellness isn't about how you look or how perfect your routine is. It's about balance and nourishment and longevity and health. I am officially in my wellness girl era, and today I want to show you exactly what that means and how I am redefining health and wellness for myself. I think that a lot of us associate wellness with probably like the classic Pilates girly. So yeah, going to Pilates, having cute workout sets, drinking green smoothies, all that sort of a thing. I think because of Instagram, that is what we have come to associate with wellness. But I mean, it can be those things, but it's also so much more and so much different than that. I really think wellness is about respecting the body that you've been given and coming to the realization that your body's not going to last forever. Youth does not last forever, and if you want to live well into your older years, it's really important to dedicate time to taking care of yourself and really adopting a routine that supports your overall health, wellness, and longevity. It's a lot more about, waking up at the start of the day and asking, what does my body need today, as opposed to I'm getting up and I have to do X, Y, and Z today. I need to eat this strict meal plan today, regardless of what's going on in my life and regardless of what my body is telling me. It's about learning that you can rest without guilt, but at the same time acknowledging that movement is needed and is good for your body in reasonable quantities. It's about coming face to face with your values. Yes, it might be cool to have six-pack abs and a very dedicated routine, but it's also acknowledging that being healthy and being able to start a family is pretty cool and also very important as well. When I was in my, fitness girl era, which lasted a very long time, and don't get me wrong, I'm gonna say this right off the bat, I'm not ditching fitness. Like, I love health and fitness. I love working out. I love the healthy foods that I eat. That's not going away. It's just changing. So I would say when I was in my hardcore fitness era, it was very much a lot about control. And that's definitely a remnant of when I had previously been diagnosed with anorexia. That disorder is very much about control over exercise, control over what you're eating, just control. And there's a lot of psychological reasons behind that, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's about control. Now I'm learning that wellness is softer than that. And it's not to say that you can't be disciplined. You can still be in your wellness era and have discipline. It's just about redirecting that discipline, if you will. It's about using that same level of discipline, but directing it to things like making sure I'm eating nourishing foods, making sure I'm doing workouts that make me feel good, making sure I'm getting adequate sleep, and making sure that I have boundaries around my sleep. So discipline's still here, it's just got a different frame on it. So as I said, back in my more hardcore days, it was a lot about control, and I thought discipline was, weighing everything I eat, tracking everything I eat, putting everything into MyFitnessPal, being very strict about meal timing and how much protein I was getting and the number of calories and how much water I was drinking. Like, everything was controlled. And on top of that, it was a lot of, I'm not going to listen to what my body is telling me. So regardless of whether I'm exhausted or I have a headache or I have a stomach ache or I know that maybe I feel like I'm getting sick and that's coming along, or maybe there was a death in the family, like so many things that can go on. But it was this blinder view of the world that, no, we are doing these things I've set out regardless of what is going on, and very much treating my body like a robot, which it works for a while until it doesn't. So in your wellness era, obviously it is a lot about eating nourishing foods. So, getting protein in, getting your fruits and vegetables, taking appropriate supplementation, but it's not being so rigid about it. It's definitely, like I said, coming from that place of what does my body need? What is my body asking for? What would benefit my body, as opposed to I've decided on this and this is what we're going to execute regardless of what happens. It comes from a much more fluid place where there's room for change, there's room for alterations if it turns out that, hey, this might actually not be the best for my body. I think a great question that you can ask yourself during a wellness era is, what can I add in? I think we've been very much trained to ask, what can I cut out? Every fad diet that you see out there, it's all about cutting things out as opposed to adding things in. So we're cutting out gluten, we're cutting out dairy, we're cutting out carbohydrates, we're cutting out this random vegetable because it's going to do this thing. We're like, there's so much restriction, and it takes a bit to make that shift in your brain to be asking the question, what can I add in, right? Is there a new kind of vegetable that I could add? Is there, maybe I should try some bone broth, or maybe I should change up my bedtime routine to see if that will help me get more sleep, or maybe I should try this different kind of movement to see if my body would respond and feel better to that. For someone like me who's very much A-type, that comes with a bit of fear because it's experimentation, and when you experiment, there's no guarantee that it's going to work, right? And I think for myself personally, with my health and fitness, I've definitely gotten to this rut of, this is what I'm doing. I know the results that I get when I do this thing. I don't want to get out of this box, because if I do, I don't know what's going to happen, and it might take me backwards from where I currently am at, and I'm not comfortable with that risk. But if you're not taking that risk, playing with things, see what your body would respond positively to, there's no way to know if, hey, making this change might actually be beneficial for your body and might actually make you feel a heck of a lot better. That concept definitely applies to me when it comes to working out. Back in the day, my workouts were so intense. I would work out 6 days a week. I would work out Sunday till Friday. I did the Beachbody programs, if any of you are familiar with that. I would alternate between Insanity, which was high intensity interval type training, lots of jumping, all that kind of stuff. You would end up on the floor, drenched in sweat by the end. And I would alternate that with P90X, which was a strength training based workout, but again, fairly intense. And I would do that 6 days a week, every single week, regardless of, I know I did it when I was sick. I know I did it after someone in the family passed away. I would work out at home. There was one morning, power went out. I did it in the dark, y'all. I did it in the dark. Had my laptop, put the disc in, did it in the dark. No room for any sort of change in my mind when it came to my workouts. And it ended up being extremely unhealthy for me. As you can imagine, working out when you're sick, not the greatest idea. But the thing was, I knew what to expect with that workout regimen, and so I didn't want to risk changing it for fear that my fitness would go backwards. Not ever considering that, hey, if you make a change, maybe you might be better, your health and fitness might actually improve. I actually experienced this recently. I did 75 hard back in August and September, and of course you're working out every single day, twice a day. That was a lot. And on top of it, of course, I wasn't eating enough. And it's very hard to go from working out 7 days a week, scaling that back, because there's this fear that if I work out less, I'm going to lose my fitness. But the thing is, I scaled back to 5 days a week, once a day, and my fitness, my health improved. I cut my workouts back to 5 days a week, which meant that on the weekends, I was not getting up and working out, I was sleeping in. So not only was I moving less, but I was sleeping more. And there was definitely this fear of just, yeah, I don't know, losing fitness or I don't know what, but the exact opposite happened. It was me feeling so much more better, was not feeling completely fatigued during the days, and during my 5 workouts a week, I was feeling so much better. I was able to lift more weight, do more reps, just had way more energy. Those workouts ended up being so much better than the 7 workouts that I was doing that were mediocre at best. And it just proved to me that you do not have to be so extreme. And in fact, taking it back a few notches and treating your body a little bit nicer often works out in your favor, ironically. When you're in your wellness girl era, you can still, put in movement, you can still strength train, you can still train hard, but it's more about doing movement that you like, doing movement that feels good for your body, and moving and exercising because it's good for both your physical and your mental health, and it's part of a all-around longevity health plan, and not because you're trying to beat your body into submission and into looking a certain way or punishing yourself for something that you ate or whatever the case may be. It's a lot more working with your body as opposed to against it. I think one of the hardest things for me in this wellness era is acknowledging the fact that you cannot be a healthy and have wellness in your life if you're also chronically stressed. Stress has been a very, very challenging part of my life for a very long time. I am an A-type girly, have very high standards for myself. I am a CPA. I work at a busy public accounting firm where standards are incredibly high. There's literally zero room for error. It's very stressful. And even if I wasn't at a job like that, if I was at a chiller sort of accounting job, I feel like there would still be a lot of stress in my life because that's just kind of how I roll. I just feel like being stressed is kind of default mode for me. But I've definitely come to acknowledge that if I want a healthy life, I need to address my stress because it has been proven that stress takes years off your life. Stress kind of impacts everything. It impacts your hormones, your energy levels, just how you're feeling overall day to day. It affects everything. And so stress management becomes a very, very key piece of an overall wellness routine. So I'm trying to slow it down. Trying to chill out. Ways that I'm doing that? Journaling. Feel free to roll your eyes. I am trying to journal a lot more. I think there's a lot of research in how journaling can positively impact someone. I've talked about this in previous videos, how I've started brain dumping. And so I initially heard of it from Mel Robbins, but I did listen to a Cal Newport podcast this morning, and he was talking about how he's definitely a fan of brain dumping. And I've been doing brain dumps, like I write the date on the top of the piece of paper and then I have my brain dump for the day. He actually suggested doing like an ongoing brain dump. So you're not constantly restarting your brain dump. You just have this ongoing list of things that's in your head, because honestly, a lot of what's bouncing around in our heads is pretty consistent from day to day. And if you're having to write that down every single day, that's kind of inefficient. So what he actually does is he has an ongoing brain dump list. And as things get done or things become irrelevant, then he's checking it off or crossing it off this ongoing brain dump list. I kind of like both. I haven't tried Cal Newport's method yet, just because I just learned about it this morning. I kind of like that idea, but I also do like Mel's idea of like, hey, this is what's going on today, this is what's bugging me, because then it's kind of like a journal entry and a brain dump at the same time. But I don't know, you could try what works for you, but journaling has definitely helped with my stress management for sure. Another thing that really helps me is this fall, because my horse has been injured, I've been doing a lot of just going for hand walks with my horse Diesel out in the pasture. There's zero expectations for either of us, and we can just, it's usually like a 40 to 45 minute walk. We can just chill out. We're in the country, it's beautiful. That's been really good for my soul as well. The thing is, now we're heading into winter, so those walks, I know last year I had to stop probably around this time because we had moose on our property. My horse does not like moose, and moose are also very, I feel like this is so Canadian. This is so Canadian. But anyways, moose are very unpredictable, and so I did not want to be out there with my horse very far away from the house in the event that something happened. So we did, and cougars and stuff tend to traipse around here every once in a while, and it gets dark. So the big loop that we do on our property will probably come to an end here shortly, but I can still do things outside with my horses. I think that's very good for stress management as well. So if you can get outside in nature, regardless of whether you live in the country or the city, I think that's really, really good for stress management as well. I think checking in with yourself is also really important. As I said, my default mode is kind of just to have this like low level of ongoing stress and anxiety all the time. I think it's really important to check in with yourself and be like, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, how stressed am I right now? Or like even at the end of the day, like how stressful was my day today? Or was I feeling anxious today? And just considering like, okay, if I'm feeling a level of stress, is there something I can do quick here in the moment to address that? You know, it could be as simple as just like taking a moment, maybe listening to your favorite upbeat song, or just breathing. Just like if you're at work, close the door if you can, or like go to the bathroom and just breathe for a second. I know I've actually just gone outside at work. So one, I'm getting outside out of my current just office environment. I go sit in my truck and just either like talk myself down, or again, listen to music, or just breathe and just like chill out for a second before I have to go back into that environment where the stress started. But yeah, just checking in with yourself, because I feel like we can very much just like breeze by the fact that like we might acknowledge that, okay, I'm feeling really stressed right now, but it's like, I don't have time to deal with this right now, I'm just gonna push through it. That doesn't work. If you're a boss babe, you might push back on this part of a wellness era a little bit, and that's connecting with more of a feminine energy. Even myself, I kind of cringe at that a little bit, which I feel like I shouldn't. I am a female. I should not cringe at the thought of leaning into my feminine energy. Like that's who I am. I don't know, it's just the tomboy, like again, go, 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 driven personality, I think, that cringes at that. For a long time, I've just been, you know, the one who got straight A's in school, who was always studying, who, you know, top of her class, got the good job, like all those, what I feel like are very masculine traits, working a ton of hours, proving to people how hard I can work, working out really hard, just, again, treating myself like a robot and very much being in that masculine energy. But again, I'm coming to realize now, as I'm kind of pulling back, trying to be a bit softer with myself, to realize that maybe leaning into that feminine energy might actually be good for me. And you know, I don't mean anything fluffy, like I'm not like it could be, but it doesn't have to be bubble baths and getting your nails done and going to the salon and wearing a full-length floral dress, or like being a trad wife. Like it might look like that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It can just be little things that, you know, bring you a sense of calm, feel intentional, and feel like you're just taking care of and nurturing yourself. Like, I don't know if you want to say like mothering yourself a little bit, but just getting in touch with how you can apply that feminine energy to yourself. So I know for myself, I'll be listening to like hard hitting, like maybe like a productivity podcast while I'm cooking. And I could ask myself, well, what if I just listened to some nice music instead? Or what if I took a little bit more time with my skincare? Or what if I was a bit more intentional about wearing clothes that make me feel good in my skin? Like those are all more feminine things to do, but they're all like, they're not, I don't think those are fluffy. They make you feel good, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I feel like for so long I've been in this headspace that if I'm feeling like crap, but I'm pushing hard, then it's okay because I'm pushing hard and getting things done. But, and I think I said this in a previous video, you do not need to feel like crap all the time in order to achieve your goals. Like you can feel good along the way while also getting things done and achieving your goals. I think when you start treating yourself like someone who is worth being cared for, everything changes. You feel better, you have more energy, your confidence goes up, your self-worth goes up, all because you decided that like, hey, myself, like I deserve to be treated like a good human being. And I think that's a huge piece of this wellness era. It's like, okay, I'm gonna feed myself right. I'm gonna make sure I go to bed at a reasonable hour. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to deal with any stress that's in my life because I'm worth being taken care of. And if I don't take care of myself, no one else is gonna do it. Like my husband might be over here like seeing me falling to pieces, but it's like he doesn't know what to do. I know exactly what I need, but it's up to me to take that step to be like, okay, yes, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to be like the CEO of my life, and I'm going to turn this ship around and make sure that we are eating healthy, we are moving, like we are taking care of ourselves like the well-oiled machine we deserve to be treated as. So as I move into this wellness girl era, there are a few habits that I really, really want to focus on, and I did make a list. So I'm staying hydrated. I currently do not take electrolytes. I am going to do some research on it. I do not fall for the hype that is Element. I don't think that is necessary, but I think maybe potentially considering a bit of an electrolyte supplement might be good, but otherwise just staying hydrated. I'm also considering filtering my water. We do have water well here at the ranch. I'm not 100% sure how good it is. We are gonna get it tested this week, so stay tuned for that. Daily walks or just whatever outside with my horse. Mindful meals that have nourishing foods. So I'm very bad for eating the same foods over and over again, and also eating said foods while reading or watching a YouTube video or watching a baseball game. Like I want to be more present with my food and being intentional with creating a variety of nourishing meals throughout the week. Daily journaling, as we discussed with the brain dump. I think I'm definitely going to try Cal Newport's version of the brain dump because I'm very curious to see how that works. Early bedtime with digital boundaries. These are kind of like two habits that I'm putting together. No scrolling on my phone prior to bed, and then that will help me have a more reasonable bedtime so I can get enough sleep. Those are the habits. I think, yeah, like I said, treating myself a little nicer. And I feel like maybe even treating yourself like a toddler a little bit. It's like, okay, we need to make sure you get to bed on time. We need to make sure you're not skipping meals because we don't want you to be hangry. We want to make sure you're eating your veggies off your plate. Like it's very much like treating yourself a little bit like a toddler. But I think, especially for myself, when I've been treating myself kind of like crap for as long as I have, it's probably warranted to treat myself like a toddler at this point. So stepping into your wellness girl era doesn't necessarily mean doing less. I mean, what I talked about, like eating good meals, that takes a lot of prep and forethought. Getting in movement, like that's still something we're doing. Journaling is something that I needed to add into my life, and like other stress management modalities. That's something I need to add into my life. It's not about doing less, but it's about doing things that matter and things that support being well, being healthy, and being able to have longevity well into your years. And don't get me wrong, this has been incredibly challenging mentally for me, like going from the 7 workouts a week during 75 hard 2 times a day to 5 workouts a week, going from being very strict with weighing and measuring everything that I eat to being a little bit more lenient with that, trying different modalities of movement, trying different foods, leaning into the softer, like taking a bit more time to maybe do my hair or skincare, all those things. It's very mentally challenging for me, but I think even just with the little tweaks that I've done so far, I've noticed an increase in my energy, and that alone has been a motivator to be like, maybe there's something to this. That is kind of the start of my wellness era. And again, it's not Pilates and green juices, although it can be, because I will be honest, I did do some Pilates here with the start of my wellness era. Haven't dipped a toe into the green smoothie world, but who knows what will happen down the road with this journey. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, and we will see you next week. Bye.